recording. So come on guys, just big hellos because this is now being recorded. And all right, here we go. I want to share my screen. So, all right, here we go. Can you guys see this? Yep, I can see you nodding your head. So, welcome guys. This is the training, the People's Choice training. Okay, Eileen's trying to say something because I've muted her. Are you? Hang on, let me unmute you. I think you might have to unmute yourself because I can't unmute you for some reason. Okay, that's really weird. Maybe just type it. Can you just nod? Can you see the screen? Okay, let me just stop sharing and start all over again. All right, can you see my screen now? It's loading. It might just be your internet. Can the rest of you guys see the screen? Just nod or just say something if you can. Yep, Philippe can, Renata can, Anna can. Oh, I'm liking the thumbs up. All right, awesome. All right, cool. So I hope it'll catch up for Eileen because I think it's just the internet that's loading. So I'm just gonna, okay, you can't see it now. Awesome. All right, well, this is the science of self-sabotage, how to stop screwing yourself. Because you know what, it's not that great to screw yourself, is it? So let me get right into it. I wanted to start off by saying I'm just a passionate guy. So I get in flow. I don't like to prepare for stuff. I literally put this together in like 10 minutes because I accidentally deleted the old slide. So I just like to roll with things. I just trust myself and I just go with the flow. So I speak fast and I get excited, deal with it. And that was my little message. So what is self-sabotage? So self-sabotage is, let's say for example, you're preparing for to see a new client, or maybe it's for a new job interview, or maybe it's to see, maybe you're going on a date and you're walking up and you know, this new job is going to pay you like 30% more than you've ever been paid in your life. This new client they're going to meet is going to give you 80% of your entire income. You prepare. You go through all your strategy. You map every single little thing out that you possibly can. And as you walk through that door, your palms start getting sweaty. And that little niggling voice at the back of your mind just says, no, you cannot do it. Or just don't fuck up, don't fuck up. And then you start talking and the words don't really come out as you want them to. That little voice in the back of the head says, don't fuck up, come on, you got this. And all of a sudden you've lost everything. And bam, all the strategies have gone completely out the window. Or you might have had a conversation with somebody and somebody told you something positive. They gave you this game plan. And when you went to implement it, it was going to change everything. But then you start looking for the flaw. You start thinking, hang on, how can I make this more perfect? What if something goes wrong? What if this doesn't work out? How am I going to make this happen? And then you think about it over and over and over again until you put it off and you delay it. And eventually what happens is you don't end up taking any action on it at all because the mind looked for flaws. Or you might be super successful and you might be seeing, you might have a great business. And somebody might say to you, hey, you know what? It's okay. You can take a day off or you can do something for yourself. And then all of a sudden you start giving time to yourself, but you start feeling guilty. And even though you have all the money in the world and everything is as you want it to be, the thing that's going to give you the most amount of connection with is spending that time with yourself. You don't do it because you self-sabotage yourself out of what you truly want. So why is this happening? Well, simply put, it's for the following two reasons. Number one is the brain is designed for survival. But are you guys impressed? Because like I literally put this together. I mean, I've even got the things happening in order. I've got like, the number one and look at this magic. Number two, look, it's just amazing. All right, so the brain is designed for survival. It is not designed for success. So animals aren't created for negative thoughts. Think about how we've evolved as a species. All animals, they're not created for negative thoughts. We're literally built for survival and positive thoughts by surviving. So as long as you are surviving, you will have positive thoughts. That's what your brain is designed for. It's designed to survive, to keep you safe. It's not designed for success. I want to repeat that again. Your brain is designed for survival. It is not designed for success. Simply put, is that if you try to do something that's going to make you successful, then you're going far beyond what the brain just wants to do. It just wants to survive. It just wants to know that it's safe, that it's not going to die. Which is why your mammalian brain, it's very much your reptilian brain. As we've evolved, it's very much about survival of the fittest. If you look at snakes, they just want to survive. They'll drop off a limb. Lizards, they'll drop off a limb just because they just purely, it's about survival. And as we evolved our brain, then we had the mammal brain. The mammalian brain is all about the primal instinct, the primal urges, and just all once eating, just hunger, all the fear, all the responses just to keep you safe. At no point does a monkey think, hey, you know what, I want to drive this multi-million-dollar house. Well, not drive a multi-million-dollar house. Actually, you know what? You could drive a multi-million-dollar house. You could have a house on wheels. If that's your thing, go for it. Make it happen. So, but it's not designed for success. It's designed to keep you safe. And the second point is, what's the reason why we do anything? Basically, it's to either avoid pain or to get pleasure. So anytime that you feel that you're going to get pleasure, you're more likely to move towards it. And if you think that something's going to give you pain, then you will move away from it. So if you try to go for anything that the brain sees as painful, it will screw you up. So for example, if you go for this new job interview and it's going to give you double the money that you've ever earned, but your lifestyle as it looks now is, people think, yeah, I want success. I want to be successful. I want all of these things to happen. But if they actually ended up happening, what would my life look like? Do you have a clear idea of what your life would look like? Because if it takes you working 40 hours, 50, 60 hours a week for you now to make what you're making, ideally, you'd think that, hey, if I earn double this, then my responsibility will go up. The amount of time that I'd have to spend being more responsible, I'd have less time to do the things that I actually enjoy doing. And if that's painful, then you will self-sabotage yourself because you are already used to being where you are. If you're used to earning $20,000 a month or $20,000 a year, whatever it is, if you double that or if you increase that by 20%, it's something that is completely out of the norm for you. Unless you actually clearly can define what life would look like, you will self-sabotage yourself. So if you see something as painful, and I want to dig this into this a lot more as we go on, but I just wanted to give you an idea of what the pain versus pleasure is. So a lot of the times people will move. So for example, if somebody was, I want to just check in with just a random person, whoever wants to unmute themselves and just answer me. What's the major reason why when people, get in a new relationship or when they get a new job, what are some of the reasons why people do that? Does anybody want to unmute themselves and just answer me? I'm just throwing it.
So why do they get in the relationship? Is that the question, Devesh?
Yeah. Why do they why do they get out of that relationship and move to
get out? Yeah, because it's the pain is bigger than the pleasure in the relationship. The sadness becomes bigger than the happiness, and they just want to get rid of it. And that's why they move on, or to probably instead of fixing, they move on to just move on to avoid it and ignore it, and become happier with something else.
Absolutely. And if that same scenario is happening in a job, people complain or they get out of a job, what are the most common things that people have a reason for moving to a new job?
Yeah, I was tired, I was sick, I was bored, didn't have enough money, it was not something for me, something bigger is waiting for me, this is not for me, I'm outgrown. These are some of the reasons I have said, at least.
Brilliant. And I would say, would the rest of you guys agree that it's more or less the same for just about everybody as a majority?
So, yes, I would. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's always when, I don't know if can you guys see me as I'm doing this, by the way?
Yeah.
Brilliant. Okay, I better make sure I don't pick my nose or anything like that. So it's totally cool. No, I'm just kidding. Not that I do that anyway. not in public, not in, anyway, I want to just stop screwing myself. Okay, I want to just get on with this presentation. So if you have pain and you have pleasure, so if this is your threshold and this is where pain is and this is where the pleasure is, most people live down here. They live at like a 3 or 4 out of 10, where their only motivation to move towards something is that they want to move away from what's painful, but they don't actually focus on what they want over here. So what happens is that you will only move if your driving factor is pain. Then you will wait till you get so close to the pain that you'll be like, no, screw this, I'm moving forward. And the further away from pain that you get, the more in the comfort zone that you get, the more you start slacking off. So I want to just add that in there. Now the second reason, what's the second reason? Is your wiring. And everything is dependent on how you grew up. So between the ages of 0 and 7, you're in the imprint stage. So if you tell, for example, a child at the age of 6 years old, I don't know where 6 o'clock came from, 6 years old, that Santa Claus is real, he will believe that, yes, Santa Claus is real. But as soon as you ask him at the age of 8, hey, you know what, Santa Claus is real, he'll be like, why? Why is Santa Claus real? Tell me about it. Because he's developed the questioning faculty of the brain. And now the brain wants to know. It doesn't just accept things. So if you're 5 years old, if you're 6 years old, and you've grown up hearing from your parents that, you know what, success is hard, money doesn't grow on trees, and you've got to do this, then you grow up with those beliefs. It becomes a part of who you are. Some of the limitations that we've heard, and I'll go into them in a little bit, but this is exactly how our sense of connection, our sense of love, everything is dependent on how we grow up in our environment when we were kids growing up. So it's all dependent on how you grew up. What thoughts did you hear when you're growing up? Were you made to feel that you had to be really obedient and you couldn't do what you wanted to do? Prime example, when we all have a need for love and connection. But the way we meet that is we either meet it through love or we meet it through connection. And the biggest mistake that screws us up is that we mistake love for connection. So we give ourselves connection, but we think that, hey, I'm getting love. What do I mean by this? Well, for example, let's say, for example, when you see kids, what do you see kids run around and do? When they're kids, they want to run around, they want to touch, they want to connect, they want to explore, they just want to love, they want to be, they're curious with who they are. Until the first day they go into school and they're told to sit down, shut up, and not say a word. And from that moment, this concept of self-love, up until that point, you were told to love yourself and do what felt good. But when you go to school, that love is replaced by the need for connection. So the only way you connect with everybody else is by loving what you want less, so you can connect with what everybody else wants you to be. You learn what they want you to learn. You sit how people want you to sit. You are well behaved in the definition of well behaved that's set by your parents, that's set by your teachers. You're rewarded by your grading on a report card. You're not told to love yourself and feel good because you're doing what feels good. You're told to connect with yourself and connect with everybody else based on how well you did on your report card, or how well you fit into the crowd. So think about how much this impacts your wiring at that early crucial age. So then what do? We start meeting the need for connection. And it's not about loving. It's about who do I have to be to get connection and a sense of love from my parents. But it's always a connection. How do I not get disciplined? How do I not fail? How do I not be the laughing stock? How do I not get punished in class? How do I not get punished by my parents? How do I avoid the pain so I can then have the pleasure? And this is the wiring that we all grow up with. So I'm showing this to you because I don't want to just be like, if you self-sabotage and, just take massive action and, fear is like, fuck everything and run. I mean, you've heard that before, right? I mean, I don't want to preach to you. I want you to walk away from this and actually understand what's happening in your mind. And I get really excited and I'm like way behind, but it's totally cool because I'm sure you guys appreciate it either way. So what was your family life like? What were some of the things that you heard growing up? Life is tough. So we believe that has to be tough because, that's our model of the world. You believe that life has to be tough. Success doesn't come easily. We hear this all the time. Success doesn't come easily. That success is hard. I'm a hustler, I'm a grinder. I get up at 3 in the morning and I go to bed at 2:59 a.m. and I sleep for 1 minute a night. And, I don't pee. I don't shit and piss. So I'm going to be just straight up with this. And I just, I'm a hustler, and this is what you have to be if you want to be successful. And if you believe that's what it has to be, then that's what you'll create your reality. Because if it's anything less than that, then you will grow up feeling guilty that you haven't done everything that's going to make you successful, and you're not going to feel worthy of your own level of success, purely because that version of success wasn't even your own. So even if things become easy, you'll self-sabotage because things have to be hard. So you want to be successful, but you had a bad relationship with your family, or you didn't get enough attention because they worked too much. Maybe you had really parents that had a lot of money, that had a business, and you always saw them just away, and they had all this money, and they didn't treat you nicely because they were just never there for whatever reason. Well, you will run the other way. You will self-sabotage yourself because you'll have a negative association with what success means. People say, I have a fear of success. Well, let me ask you a question. If I had to ask you clearly to define what success means to you, could you tell me what it was? What are some of the things that have to happen for you to feel that you're successful? We never stop and ask ourselves, but we chase that word success. But we all have a different version of success, and it's not what looks good on paper, it's what makes you feel good on the inside. Because that's what's going to drive you. Those moments that everything else was fighting against you, there was something that happened that made you feel like, yes, I'm going to make this happen. Not because of logic, not because of what somebody else says, because of what it meant to you. And in that moment, he said, I'm going to succeed at this no matter what. I'm going to show the world what I'm capable of. And that's what really drives you. So what if you had absolute clarity on what that meant for you? And it was a feeling, and you didn't allow yourself to be driven from the outside in. You allowed yourself to expand and amplify who you are from the inside out. Did I mention how I get really passionate? Do you see what I mean? Thank you. All right. So why? Why does this happen? Well, your brain is like a projector. What do I mean by this? Well, let me put it into perspective. You could do right now the complete opposite of everything else that you had planned. In the next 10 seconds, you could choose to put your earphones at your ears, flip your table upside down, run out your house, and just disappear for like 2 weeks. You could do that. You could. But think about it. You haven't got any plans to keep doing what you're doing, but you automatically assume that you're going to go to bed. You're going to have a bed to sleep in. You're going to wake up. You're going to have breakfast. You're going to have a job tomorrow. You're going to meet some people, and people are going to treat you how they've always treated you. Why? It's because this is how you operate. Is your brain literally stores every single memory, every single thing that's happened to you up until this point, and it assumes based on what's happened in the past what will happen in the future, which means you are always at the center point of your existence. Which is why when you're 10 years old, 1 year seems like, oh man, it's such a long time because it's 10% of your life. But when you're 30, 1 year is 3% of your life. So you know how we always say that time seems like it's going quicker and quicker and quicker. Why? It's because, of course, it's going quicker. Well, it's not going quicker. It's because 1 year means less and less. It's the shorter percentage of your life. So you are always at the center point of your existence. And you always see the future through the lens of the past. So obviously I missed this, but you won't. Why? So if you assume that it's happened in the past, it'll happen in the future. So think about how this actually works. The pattern already exists. The fact that you don't have to think about what you're going to have for breakfast tomorrow or where the bottle of milk is in your fridge is because the pattern for that already exists in the brain. So it's easy. And the brain is lazy, doesn't want to work. It's designed for survival, remember? So it will always go for the set pattern of what already exists. Now, what if you went to the supermarket and you weren't focusing on what groceries you were buying? You will automatically reach for a product that you've seen on TV because it's familiar to you compared to a product that you've never seen. Why? Because it's the familiarity. It's the wiring for it already exists, so that it's easy for the brain to just accept, yep, I'm going to buy this product without looking at anything else because I know this product does its job. Why? Because I've seen the advertising for it. So here's the thing. To create something new is to challenge everything that your current life is built upon. The very act of setting a goal is to challenge what life means to you. To do something that you haven't done before It means that you have to rewire your brain to think in a way that it has never thought before, which could mean death, because the brain literally, it's the fear of the unknown. It doesn't know what's going to happen. So the very act of setting a goal and not being sure how it's going to give you pleasure means that your brain is just going to operate on moving away from pain. Shit, this could be painful. Just like when you're moving away from a job. Oh crap, if I go to this interview, and what happens if I screw up? Or, what's going to happen if I'm successful? Instead of asking yourself, what could happen if I'm successful? We don't think that. We always focus on moving away. Why? Because this is, once again, going back to kids, is meeting the need for connection. It's because you learn to not love yourself, but you're taught to just avoid pain so you can actually connect and not be hurt. So the highest prime directive of the subconscious mind is self-preservation. What does this mean? Is that it basically means the number one thing that your brain is concerned with is survival, is not dying. That's it. It's literally not dying. That's it. That is literally what your brain wants to do. So have you ever wondered why people get in the same shitty relationships? Or they keep doing the same things which are bad for them? So let's say, for example, if you were crossing the road and you fell over in the middle of the road, what would actually happen is you would trip over, you would get back up, and you would keep crossing the road. Now, the next time you start crossing the road, you would actually, even though you fell over in that one space, you are more likely to cross in that exact same spot purely because you know that you survived in the end. This is why people get in the same shitty relationships, is because even though it's painful, it's familiar, and they have a sense of connection through pain. You can either meet connections positively, you can either connect with somebody in a positive way, or you can connect in a negative way, which is why people that complain talk to other people that complain. Why? Because they have a sense of connection in sad stories, which is why they complain about other people, because that's a sense of connection. You have something in common. So the brain wants to prove to itself that I am strong enough to go through the same thing. But it's not about being strong enough to be strong enough. It's about being strong enough to change. Damn, that's a good quote. I should put that in a picture or something. Bless you, Anna. I know you just sneezed. So by creating something new, it means fear of the unknown. You could die. You could literally die. So if you're going up on stage for the first time, which Vishal is what's the word I'm looking for? Newbie at. I'm just going to go with that. It could literally mean that I could die, even though it's preposterous. But if you haven't done something before, if you have someone that has a fear of jumping out of a plane, fear of heights, that means they've never thought of the possibility of what it would be like to jump out of a plane. All they're thinking of is, wow, holy shit, I'm going to die. So what they'll think of is the worst thing to avoid you making it happen. So if you set a goal and we have a great conversation, I tell you, hey, Eileen, you should do these 5 steps. And if you do these, then everything will be okay. But if you haven't done it before and you're thinking about, right, how can I do it? And you try to make yourself feel better by giving yourself all these reasons about why you should do it. But your brain's like, no, warning, danger. This is something I've never done before. So your amygdala, I'm going to start using all these neuroscience terms, which is the fear center of the brain, will send shock waves into your prefrontal cortex, the front part of your brain, and it will shut down the activity, and it'll shut down creativity. It'll shut down intuition, and it will just operate from fight or flight. How do I survive in this moment? And you might be fearful and you might take some more actions, but it'll keep thinking of the worst thing that can happen because it wants you to go back to what's safe, because the new pattern simply does not exist. So fear comes from basically not knowing what to do or how to do it. If you had a clear-cut plan on exactly how you're going to make that thing happen, on exactly what the end result looked like, and how you would get there step by step, then you wouldn't be afraid, because your brain knows that, hey, I'm not going to die. It's totally cool. But there's another part to this, which I'll get to later on. So it's important for you to know how, but there's something that's even more important, which is the what. And the what always comes first. So you must know exactly what it is that you're moving towards. You must have crystal clear clarity. Just like I had my hand up previously, which I have my hands up now. You have pain, then you have pleasure. Most people live on a 3 or a 4, and they're like, yep, I'm going to move I want to just stay here because this is comfortable. But they don't have clarity on what they want. People don't think, I want a new job because this is what I want. I want an office that's going to be by the water. I want it to be 5 minutes away from a beach. I want an organic vegan cafe, which sells coffee for $3.70 and has a coffee card, which is brown. Just making that reality. I want to feel like this when I walk in there. This is what I want my life to look like. We don't create that. We only focus on what we don't want. So then what's actually happening, this is so important, and I'm going to use my hands to explain this, is that if you don't have clarity, this is what's going to happen. You'll be over here at a 3 out of 10, and you'll move forward and you'll be so far away from the pain, and the biggest motivator, which was the pain, is no longer the motivator because it's so far away. But then you'll use willpower and you'll push yourself and you'll push yourself. But then you'll be so far ahead, you'll be like, wow, you know what? I just have no drive. I have no motivation. And then you'll self-sabotage yourself because it's painful for you to keep going because there's nothing to move towards. And then you'll get really close to your end goal, and then you'll self-sabotage yourself and you'll go all the way back because this is your comfort zone. Instead, if you got really clear on what this looked like, now you're being pulled by something instead of consistently just moving away from pain. So when you associate happiness to having something, your brain thinks that it's easy to get it. So if you associate happiness to having something, your brain makes it easy, thinks that it's easy to get it. So the more you visualize it, the more likely it seems that you'll get it. Because the brain can't actually tell the difference between what's real and what's fake. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever thought of a scenario so much before it's happened that the more you think about it, the more stressful it gets? And when you actually get to that circumstance, before you've even, you've never had this happen before. This is the first time you might have been in the circumstance, but you get there and you're deathly afraid. Why? Because you've played it over that many times in your mind over and over and over and over and over, that you are now just completely shitting yourself going up to that scenario. Just like going on a holiday, you might think, hey, I'm going for a holiday. And, you've never been on this holiday, but you're planning all these trips, you're booking all these different coaches, you're planning on where you're going to have dinner. And before you even know it, you're excited. Why? Because you visualized it. So you can do both. You can visualize what it feels like to make it feel good, or you can visualize what it's going to make it feel like for everything to just go down the shit, basically. Think about that. So you already know how to create those emotions, but we allow our monkey brain to control us. We've been given the gift of consciousness. The only difference between you and a monkey or a donkey or whatever it is that they can't create the future. They're literally driven by reactions, by what they're threatened by. And we have those brains because we've grown on top of that, but we allow that monkey brain to control us. If you feel afraid, if you set a new goal and you tell yourself, wow, I'm feeling fear. Okay, brilliant. I can see what's happening. My mind just wants to keep me safe. What a gift that it's keeping me safe. It's because this is why I've evolved to this stage. This is why the human species exists, because we've evolved to the point now where we can actually be who we are because of this. Thank you. Thank you for this gift. Thank you for trying to keep me safe. But I choose to take control, and I see what's going on, and I want to move forward anyway. But now that you know what's going on, because the simple fact that you've now named the emotion, because you know what's going on, you'd lower the firing threshold of it by up to 50%. The fear reduces by up to 50% just because you can actually admit that you have a fear of failure. Why? Because the fear of unknown is now gone. It's not unknown anymore. You know what it is, which means you're not going to die. You just know that, hey, it's my body just doing what it needs to do. So I want to ask you, what if you had this big goal of exactly what you want your life to look like? So you want this dream holiday, and you want to be successful. Great. What's your version of success? If you could have exactly what you wanted, can you clearly define what that looks like? Where would you live? What would your house look like? Do you actually know what this, can you actually answer these questions? Where would you live if you could live somewhere like where there's 10, 20 years down the track, and this is your perfect reality? This is what success means to me. Could you clearly define to me where I live? Well, for me, I would love to live in love nature. I'd love to live by a lake. and I'd have like this wooden luxury house that would just have this color of wood, and like, you know, I just like the whole wood thing, you know, like I would be surrounded by trees. I'd be like in this forest almost, you know. What would the house look like? You know, what time would I get up? Well, I'd get up at 6 a.m. I put my feet on the floor and I would say thank you. That life is a miracle, and I'm a gift just for the fact that I exist. And I was born with every single thing that I could ever want, for me to be anything that I ever wanted to be and more. And who I am is I'm just abundance, and I'm just grateful. I would get up in the morning, I would wake up, I would look at my accomplishments, and I would look at all the projects that I've created. You know, like my biggest life goal is to plant 100 million trees. Like I want to rejuvenate nature. It's like my biggest goal. And I would just think, wow, I've planted like 40 million trees now. I've got another 60 million to go. You know, I'd go for a walk in the forest. You know, what would I do in the morning? Well, I'd meditate. You know, I have a meditation thing in the backyard. What would I have for breakfast? You know, what does the mundane stuff look like? I'd plan my day. What would be the first half of my day? Well, I'd go and speak to kids. You know, I'd go and give a speech. I'd talk. I'd present. You know, I love just educating kids. And what would my lunch be like? Can you just get so clear on this? So you actually feel it. It's not just something that looks good. You actually feel it. And it's that feeling. It's not the words, because words are so limiting. We put such a big weight on words. But it's the feeling that really drives you. When you make a decision, when you see a person, you don't decide on logic. You decide on how you feel. You make a decision based on your emotions, and you justify it through logic. And that's the way life works. So what if you could feel, what if you can get really clear about this, and you just allowed yourself to feel what it would be like? And you spent like 3 hours doing this exercise. Then you say, you know what, that's my reality. I don't want a new goal, I want a new life. This is what it's going to look like. Every little thing that you want to achieve, what is it that gives you the most meaning to yourself? Not from the lens of the past, but from the lens of the now. What does that really look like? You've got to get super clear, because if you don't have clarity, then your brain will just think, wow, where's the pleasure? Like, I'm going to do all this work. Nothing in my life is going to change, because your reality looks like how life looks like now. You're still doing the same things. You're still working the same amount. You still have the same friends. You know, your brain can only ever make up things that it knows. So if you never create something new, what I mean is really create something new. How will you ever know what to move towards? So get really clear on this, and you can take a screenshot. I'm going to upload this training anyway, so you can, you know, if you want to take a screenshot of this, these are some really good questions to ask yourself, and ask yourself properly. And if you have clients, this is actually a really good exercise to do for your clients as well. If you have clients, if you want to know your ideal person that you want to work with, where do they live? What does their house look like? What time do they wake up in the morning? What do they have breakfast? You know, what do they have for breakfast? What does their mundane stuff look like? Well, how do they spend their day? And if I know that someone's in pain, that, hey, they wish that they were, you know, they had something to look forward to. You know, they wish that they had people that understood them. What are their friends like? Well, their friends are people that are keeping them playing safe and small. And they wish that they had friends that would inspire them and motivate them. What do they do for personal fulfillment? Well, this person might spend time learning about information. You know, what does their business look like? Well, their business might be a struggle. Can I help them with their business? Can I help them with their life? What do they actually do? This is a really good question for you to ask. If you're in business, you can ask what your client, you can go through this exercise for your clients, and you can speak to them, and now you become your client and you can relate to them. You know, I do this stuff, and it just makes it so much more relatable for me to understand people. So I want to just show you this brain scan image. Let me just quickly turn something on. So this is actually what beliefs look like in the brain. So this is an fMRI. This is a MRI scan of the brain. And these little things that you see here, these are actually beliefs. This is an actual belief. So if you were thinking a thought, this would actually appear in your brain. If there were, and this is the amazing thing, like there was a video of this, I only took a screenshot, but it was just amazing. Like it blew my fucking mind. It was, so you guys see these lines here. So this whole thing, obviously, that, you know, all the gray matter in your brain. So when you have a thought, you have a thought that, hey, I want to have this. So as I was doing this last exercise, you might think, what does my dream house look like? You know, what are all these things that I'm thinking of? What does that all look like? Well, this is what it is. Now notice that there's no wiring attached to it. There's no wiring attached to it. There's a little bit of wiring attached here. So what this actually means is that your brain doesn't know how to make it a reality just yet, but it believes that it can be a reality. And what happens, the more you reinforce this, the stronger this gets, the more reason. So what actually happened in the video of this was these wires didn't exist in the beginning. This blob was here by itself. And slowly the wires started appearing. And eventually these wires are going to start connecting until eventually this line that you see here will actually connect to this thing. And now you've learned how to do something that you've never done before. So when a baby learns how to walk, it observes, it visualizes what it's like to walk. It watches what it's like to have that behavior. And then it tries and it walks and it falls down. And then this wire now has moved to here. So it knows what it wants and it keeps going for it. He gets back up and he moves again. And now this wire's gone over here. He falls back down and he gets up again and again until this wire comes all the way here. All these things are now connected together, and now you know how to walk. And now the pattern exists, and now it's second nature. It's science. If you think about it, anybody can do anything. In the last 14 years, we've learned so much about the brain that it makes 98% of everything we knew before it obsolete. We now know that every single person is a born genius. Why did I make this? Because it's the genius category. Because every single person is a born genius. We can do anything. You have the same brain. You have the same capabilities as Einstein, as the people that have revolutionized the course of history forever. Every single person is a born genius for what they believe in, and you can rewire your brain to do anything. You just have to know how. And we have to, you know what? Create a new system. That's what it's all about. It's not about changing the old system. It's about saying, you know what, fuck this, it's bullshit. I'm making a stand for humanity. I'm making a stand for evolution. I'm making a stand for what's right, to empower people, to make them feel good about themselves, to let them know that they can do anything that they put their mind to, and no one can stop them unless they allow themselves to be stopped and they give their power away. But nobody tells you just exactly how powerful of a creator you are. People say, yeah, you can do anything. Great. How can I do anything? This is how you can do anything, because this is how you create your reality. And do you know what happens when fear kicks in? This explodes. So you have an idea. If I gave you this idea and you kept feeding this with fear, this would explode. You can see it happening in the brain scan. This would literally explode if you feed it enough. You know how they say Tony Robbins, it's moments of decision that shape your destiny. Well, this is what he's talking about. It's the moments of decision. You can either choose to lead with faith, or you can either choose to lead with fear. That's what life comes down to. So, okay, anyway, this is like obviously a different presentation. That's cool. So what I was going to say to you guys is the way you stop self-sabotage is there's obviously, look, I can do like 10 hours of training on this. There's, limiting beliefs and all this other stuff. But at a core fundamental, this is what it comes down to. You just got to be really clear on what it means to you. And you know what, I want to do something that is completely spontaneous. I'm going to show you my blueprint. Okay, 71 documents. Where is this thing? All right, so this is what it's like an 18-page document. I won't show you the whole thing. This is actually a short version. It's a short version. It's got like 9,000 words. So I remind myself, 2016, what truly matters is my spiritual connection. Everything else is a game to win at. The only thing that matters to me is my connection with my spirit and to the universe. Everything else is a game to play at. If I want to play that game, then I want to play that game to fucking win. That's what I want to play that game to do. What are my primary needs? Is to grow and to be uncertain. I don't want safety. I want to grow. Am I being productive, or am I doing positive procrastination? What does success mean to me? What are the 3 to 5 things that have to happen? I have to have, it's financial freedom to do what I want, when I do it and who I do it with. To have vibrant health and energy, to feel alive and look great, master my mindset. to provide love and abundance for my family and being a great role model and loving partner, to contribute to the planet by raising consciousness, global spiritual connection, blah, blah, blah. What is it that I love to do that lies at the heart of my business? What feelings do I want to experience as a result of my dream business? Because of my dream business, how do I feel at the end of the day? And, if I like go down to like, like I've got everything from, my affirmations, I've got my different, like different areas of my life. Like, I give 10% off my money to charities and change lives. I've given 10 people the gift of sight and sound. I've planted 10,000 trees. Personal growth, fun and recreation. What are my affirmations? What are my financial affirmations? What are my career affirmations? Blah, blah, blah. My life, what's my purpose of my life? Is to live, to be free, to live, grow, give without limits and without constraints. What's my outer mission? To help millions of people raise the consciousness of our planet. To spread awareness that we are creators of our reality, that we are born geniuses with the untapped power within us waiting to be tapped into, and to create a ripple effect which spreads across the planet, transforming lives and raising the vibration of our entire existence through spreading my unique message through writing, speaking, guiding with my coaching and programs. And my outer mission is to contribute to the global shift so humanity itself can collectively define what evolution means for the future generations. That's what I want to create in my life. You know what? I can get excited about this. What's my inner mission? I want to be authentic and I want to be real. Why? So I can be happy, so I can feel free, because I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired, and I made the decision. My life is my story. I'll make my family proud. I'll give them so much love. I'll feel great. Blah, 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 blah. What are my values? The universe, God. Universe guides me in every step. I believe that. By asking correctly and living on the vibration, I'll always be guided. Like I've got everything like mapped out down to like, my health, my finances, my relationships, my charity, my fun and experiences, what habits I'll have, what habits I'll release, what are my morning rituals, where am I going to travel, what are the projects I want to create, what does 3 years look like for me, $1 million in personal income, planted 100,000 trees, planted 1 million trees in 10 years, what does it look like? Why do I love money? Well, I love money because it makes me smile. I love the smell of money. I love the feel of money in my hands. I love seeing the money roll into my bank account. Like I've mapped everything out so clearly because I want to create my reality and I want to move forward. I choose to not live in fear. I choose to live in faith. I choose to stand for what I choose to stand for. So I'm going to stop sharing this because I think this just went well over, but I hope that gives you a little bit of insight on just what it is that causes fear and why we allow ourselves to stop ourselves. And it's, the beautiful thing is that it's always changing. Like a year ago, I was completely in a different space. Like 6 months ago, I was in a different space because it was very much about, I'm this important guy and, people have to listen to me. But now I'm just like, you know what? It's cool. My purpose of my life is to love myself and for me to be an example of that to other people. I don't want to be this guy has all the answers. If you resonate with me, cool. If you believe what I believe, then that's perfectly fine. If not, then that's totally okay too, because you are a human being and you have your own emotions. And that's the magic thing, that we all have different things, but we always think that we see somebody that's a guru, that's up on stage, that has like everywhere, and we think that I have to be like that person. But then you're just trying to be a second-rate version of somebody else. Success to you could just mean to be a great friend, to live comfortably, to have peace in your life. And if you just recognize that, then you'll realize in many ways you are already successful. But it's this illusion that we have to be accepted by everybody else. So we have to have all this flash. We have to do things that other people want us to do for us to have connections. So we keep chasing connection. We keep chasing success through connection instead of leading from love, from the inside out, with what truly matters to us the most. So yeah, most of this training was like literally just made up. I had like some points and I was going to talk about some stuff, but I just completely went off tangent. So I hope it made sense. But that's my training. Thank you for watching.
Man.
But,
That's awesome, brother.
thanks, guys.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. It was amazing.
Yay.
Comments, feedback, takeaways. I'd love to just know you guys Yeah, key takeaways. Yeah, just love to hear them.
I agree with a lot of things that you said. And that actually overlaps a little bit with what I'm doing, which is quantum psychoanalysis. And does compare in a different way that you said, but it does actually compare to a wider reality. Quantum analysis tells us that you can, that there's a multiple reality, there's multiple universes, everything is possible. And I believe that my vision of that is a little bit different than yours. I mean, it's the same, but on different basics. Yes, I do agree with that, and I love that. However, I have a question. What do you do? Like, say, for example, you answer your questions say, about I want to live in Australia in 5 years, but that might be possible because of certain life circumstances. So although I created something, I'm aiming for that. It might not be possible to achieve.
Mm-hmm.
Because say visa or like political situation or something that is completely out of my own control. So how would you respond to that?
Sure. So I'll respond to it in your language, and this will make sense. Okay. So speaking of the non-physical world, speaking of the universe, so I very much keep it at a surface level, so I'm not losing everybody, but quantum physics is my baby. I'll actually link you one of my other webinars, which actually I talk a lot about this. So right now, if you think about it, in an atom, there is 0.00001% physical reality. Yes, there is 0.00001% physical component, but 99.99999% is a non-physical. So if you zoomed into your hand, what are we? We're all made of the same stuff, right? So that means 99.99999% of you is a non-physical, and only 0.00001% of you is physical reality. So the illusion is that the physical world is more real than the non-physical world. Some of the best things that have happened to you in life have come about in ways that you could possibly not imagine. The best experiences that have happened in ways that you could possibly never imagine. You couldn't plan for them, they just happened. Synchronicities, things that just come into your experience and just changed everything. The how's not up to you, the how is in the universe. If you want it, put the intention out there, and there'll be a way it'll happen. Just like I said in that brain scan, is that you have the image, but it doesn't know how it's going to make it happen. Mm-hmm. You take that first step, and the universe will support you. So 5 years from now, mm-hmm. it's fine. Just set the intention.
You can do it.
Yeah, totally. Hey, Joe, you missed the training, but it's totally cool. You can come for the chat. Does that answer your question, Anna? I don't know.
It did. Yes, it did answer my question. I was just. I think that's my biggest sabotage. Like my parents kind of raised me in a way that life is tough. You always plan, but it never works out for you. So, what is the point planning? And I always kind of stuck in that situation when I'm just like living in the situation that is right now. And like my biggest, I think, failure right now is to get out of that mindset where I believe that life happens and you just have to sort of adjust to life. So that's why I asked this question. Like, if I want to go to Sydney, for example, I have friends there and I want to visit that city. But I'm thinking, like, if I decide to live there, if it's going to be possible for me, like because of this and this, and then kind of sabotages that thought. Mm. So, that's where the question came from.
Great. So the fear comes from not knowing what to do or how to do it. So if I have to ask you 4 questions, knowing what it is that you want. There's a new concept. So living in an overseas country, living in a different country, it's a new concept. Yeah. And you have confusion. So what is confusion? Confusion is concept fusion. It is a new concept being fused in your mind. At a neurological level, it'll either cause neural coherence or it'll cause neural dissonance. So if there's neural dissonance, it means that there's a disconnect from. So for you to have coherence, the concepts have to be fused. How do you get the concepts to be fused? Well, ask yourself these questions. If I want to move to Sydney, so if I want to be a coach, great. What knowledge do I need? What skills do I need? what resources do I need? What talents do I need? And what habits do I need for me to continue getting all those things? And if you ask yourself all those questions, then you now have some sort of game plan. So you say, right, what knowledge do I need? Well, the number one knowledge is, how much does it cost for me to, on average, to live in Australia? What kind of jobs are there for my market? If I was to run a business, what would be the cost? What's the tax? Do I have to have a certain amount of blah, 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 blah. So you map out every single question that you possibly have. Great. Now the fear of the unknown has gone down because you're not afraid of what you don't know. Now you know what you don't know. The biggest thing that screws us up is not knowing what you don't know. Great. Now there's some sort of wiring that supports that way of thinking. Great. What skills do I need? If I was going to go there, what knowledge do I need? What skills do I need? What skills could I amplify so I can make and leverage the best parts of myself to increase my chances of being there? Great. What habits do I need? And you ask yourself all these questions, and now you have a great idea. And then using the information that we covered in this training, you ask yourself, okay, great. It's something that's new. So our brain's going to try to fight me. But I can choose to recognize that life does not bring guarantees. It doesn't bring warranties. Life only brings possibilities and opportunities. And for you to let go of the old is the only way that you're going to open up the way for something new. So you do the back end work, and then you acknowledge that, hey, this is the way my brain works, and I choose to create my reality. And where fear goes down, you have coherence. You have a vision. Your vision is aligned. Through clarity, your internal beliefs are aligned. It's alignment. It's complete alignment. And it's about creating that world, like I spoke about in that training. So hopefully that helps you.
That helps. Thank you.
You're welcome. So yeah, guys, you don't have to be shy. It's totally cool. Just jump in. We see Joe's iPhone. His last name's not iPhone, by the way. That's just his phone.
Should I go for the question, Devesh?
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. So my first question that I was asking is, I have two. And first of all, before saying anything else, I really appreciate your time, energy, and the emotion that you have put in this presentation today, Devesh. Thanks for, on behalf of all of us, thanks for investing in us and our success. We really appreciate that. And Devesh, my question is, sometimes I have, I've seen this pattern many times, not just my live event, for many days, I never wanted to buy a car. I always wanted to buy a Jeep, this full, no roof, like this rocking style. And I always have dreamt about it. And I have enough financial ability to do that right now. But for so many weeks now, I've been thinking about it. And I set a goal that I'm going to get it in September. When September came, I made excuses. You know what? My house building is going on. You know what? I have to go for this treatment for my brother. Maybe December. And I'm very, very sure that if the pattern goes on like this, when the December comes, I'm going to say, you know what? Maybe sometime later on. And I'm procrastinating by probably subconsciously blaming somebody else. But deep inside, I know there is something that I'm afraid of. And the same thing happens with live events or workshop or something big when I'm going for, launching my 50K program. I feel maybe I'm not ready right now. Maybe I need a bit more preparation, and this goes on and on and on. And how do and I've seen this is the pattern in many different areas when I'm going for something big. How do I break it? And how do I make sure I don't repeat the pattern?
So think of one scenario that I'm going to take some notes as I do this. Think of one thing that you've been installing. So it's buying this car.
Okay.
Or what was the thing that you mentioned, right? Going up on stage.
Yeah.
So your program, whatever it is. Cool. Which one did you want to use as an example?
The Jeep.
Okay, great.
Buying Jeep.
So what's the outcome that you're actually, so you just want to buy the Jeep. What's the exact outcome that you're wanting in relevance to that Jeep?
I want to take the Jeep. I want to go into forests in the middle of the afternoon by myself with my girlfriend, take photos, record videos, and enjoy the ride inside forest. That's a picture that always goes on in my mind. It's not, showing off. It's not even just riding. It's just me going inside the forest with my Jeep where it's completely silent and just going there in the middle of the afternoon and enjoying it and just being with it, which I can't do right now sometimes.
Cool. And just tell me what comes to your mind. Don't process it because just tell me the first thing that comes to your mind. Is
association.
Yeah. So if you were to take the week off next week and you were to take that Jeep in the middle of the afternoon and you were able to do all those things, what's the resistance that comes up? What would be the worst thing about you doing that?
What would be the worst thing?
Yeah.
Nothing.
So what's the
There is
resistance?
nothing.
What's the resistance that comes up in your mind? Because there's something that you're resisting. So what's the first resistance that comes to your mind when you think about doing that?
I just have the fear of buying it because the way until last year I was dead broke. So the programming that you spoke about wiring that I always got is, don't buy things of luxury or don't buy things. Just save it until you're 40. I'm 24 now. So like save it. Don't do it, because if you buy all these things today, very soon you'll be losing everything, and at that time you will regret. So that fear stops me from going for it.
And
Go ahead.
Sorry, go on.
I'm done. Please go on, sir.
That's right. So let's say, for example, if you didn't save money until you're 40 and you bought things of luxury, how would that be a problem?
I didn't get the question, Devesh.
I can see Vanita smiling there. So
Yeah.
if you didn't save money till you were 40 and you bought things for luxury, how is that a problem?
That's not a problem because I'm living now.
Cool. So at some level, it is a problem. So I'm going to ask you that question again. Tell me the first thing that comes up is, if you were buying all the things that you wanted to do and you were living a life of luxury and you're giving yourself all the luxury to spend all the money that you had, how is that a problem?
That's not a problem.
But you feel guilty, right? Or it sounds like you're guilty for buying stuff.
Sometimes, yes. My head is saying, my heart is saying it's not, but sometimes, because of the wiring, my head says, I should feel guilty because, all my family could earn was like, maximum was like $300 a month, and, I'm doing all that. So, there is something that, one part of me says, go ahead and just say yes to a fuck yes life. And another part of me says, hey, look behind you. There are many people who are counting on you. Don't let them down.
So, and it was a feeling guilty thing, which, thank you, Eileen. I would have eventually got down without telling you, in which the case when you would have actually said, okay, cool, this is what's happening. Because in that moment, then your logical mind is saying, no, it's not a problem because I can do all those things. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
But unconsciously, you don't believe that, because if you did, then you'd be doing it.
Yeah.
And that feeling of guilt, it's exactly what we spoke about in the training. So if you see your parents as somebody that has put in all this work and they struggle to make all this money, then there's a part of yourself that wants to respect your parents and that doesn't want to do things easily, which is where, and do you mind if I quickly just share about you going on holidays and you just not being able to take that time out? Do you mind if I just bring that up? Because I know we've had a quick chat before.
Yeah, please go on.
So the biggest thing that we spoke about was you not giving that time to yourself. You wanted to go on something as simple as going to the beach, but it's something that you kept putting it off. And when I asked you what it is that you wanted to do, what's the outcome? Because the outcome wasn't buying the Jeep. The outcome for you was actually take the Jeep in the middle of the afternoon with your girlfriend to the middle of the forest and doing something nice. It wasn't the Jeep. It was what you wanted to do with the Jeep, which was to have enjoyment, to give that something to yourself, for yourself, not anybody else.
Right.
Whereas all the things that you spend money on, which is, your house and your family and all the rest of it, that's not just for yourself, that's for other people as well. But when it comes to something for yourself, there's a resistance.
Yeah.
So this is living life from the outside in. It's having a sense of success. As long as other people are part of that success, then you think it's cool, it's okay. Then it's okay for me to do those things. But it's trying to give love to other people without giving love to the person that must give love to themselves first and foremost, which is yourself.
Right.
Mm.
It's the outside in versus the inside out. And the feeling that you feel guilty doing that is the exact reason why you've been putting off buying that Jeep, because it's not the Jeep, it's the association you have with the Jeep. If you had the Jeep, then you'd have more reasons to take some time away, to spend some time with yourself and to do something that you actually enjoy doing.
Mm.
And in what other ways in your life is this pattern showing up? What have you stopped yourself from doing? The little meaningful things, not the big things, but the little things. Because the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. What else have you not been doing for yourself?
Going to the gym. I mean, that's something that I always enjoyed when I was doing it. But, recently I've gained some weight in the last 2 years because, just like you, my work doesn't require me to meet people face to face all the time. I can do it on the phone and I do it. So, like, another thing that I was brought in to believe, and again, the wiring is not everything, but it was part of it that, my father always told me, if you go to gym and if you work out well, you will have a great body, but mind it, Vishal, if you stop it one day, you will gain back the weight. So instead of going to the gym and spending all the money, do it at home. You'll never actually lose anything. And that always stuck in my head. And every single time I went to the gym until 2 years ago, I felt good, but that voice was always in my mind. If I leave it, people will laugh at me, and then I stopped doing it. I stopped exercising. Though I enjoyed it very well, I felt more energetic. And now in the last few years, I started feeling more lethargic and lethargic. And sometimes I feel I want to go back, but then I feel, okay, what if I don't continue? What if my family again says, oh, you started another thing and you were not consistent, which has happened many times. So that ridicule has many times stopped me from enjoying those workouts in the gym, and I think this is the same pattern here again.
And the other thing that's running as well is you don't want to let them down by resisting them and proving them wrong,
right?
Because you respect them too much to do that. So if by you actually getting fit again, you'd be resisting what your father said.
Yeah, I do feel that, yes.
And normally, I wouldn't just be telling you this. But obviously, I'm not going to. I can't spend. I don't want to take up that much of your time here, but it's very much the outside in.
Yeah.
And it's your version of success of what it truly means to you. It must be from the inside out. It's your values. What's the most important thing to you in the context of life? Tell me quickly what comes up.
The most important thing for me is, to be very, very honest, is me being happy in my day-to-day work. Not about the result, but I mean, if I can wake up in the morning with a sense of purpose, that's everything for me.
Great. Happy, purpose. What else? What else is life all about for you?
Loving and being in great relationship with my fiance, who I'm going to get married to next year.
Great.
And
so these are your values. And the 4 values that you just mentioned, number 1 is being happy. Number 2 is having purpose. Number 3 is loving, which is love. And number 4 is great relationships. So great relationships is number 4 on your values list. So for you to feel good about having a great relationship, you first have to be happy. You have to have purpose. You have to feel a sense of love. And unless you feel those in that specific order, then it doesn't matter what you do, you're not going to have a great relationship.
Right.
Now, can you see how that's in conflict with how you've been living your life? Because your life is being dependent on the great relationships from the outside in.
Right.
Which means that you give up your top 3 values, which is feeling happy with what has meaning to you, with doing stuff that has purpose for yourself, giving yourself the love. And as a result, you're trying to get from the outside what you can really give yourself from the inside this whole time.
Yeah.
And there's a conflict in your values, because your values, first and foremost, is what I'm doing right now. If you want to have a great relationship, it's not about how do I have a great relationship so I can then feel happy, I can feel on purpose, and I can feel loved. No, it comes down to how can I feel happy, on purpose, and love what I do right now for myself so I can then have a great relationship.
Right.
And that's how everything else will improve in your life. It has to be about you honoring and serving yourself first. It's about meeting your core values with what's important to you. And until that happens, then everything else on the outside can change, but it will always be the outside defining your sense of love, happiness, and purpose.
And Devesh, do you think that this same pattern is responsible for me wanting to sometimes, delay the live event because, hey, I'm not ready. Maybe I need to prepare a little bit more to serve them.
It's the approval. It could be a multitude of things. You know what it is within yourself. It's the validation from the outside because it's that external frame of reference that's always giving you that sense of identity. And I'm just saying what, you can tell me yes or no. It's cool, but it's the external frame of reference once again. And if the frame of reference is always external, that it doesn't matter what you're doing. It just means that it has to be something that the people around you are going to accept.
Right. Yes.
So let me ask you a question. It could be a multitude of things. For example, we have fear of rejection, fear of failure. Fear of rejection is a big one for a lot of people. How could you possibly feel rejected if you loved yourself? If you gave yourself your own love first, would it matter if anybody else rejected you? Because how could you feel rejected if you loved yourself?
If I love myself fully, I would not need anything from anybody.
So how could you choose to love yourself for yourself even more?
By doing the things that Vishal wants instead of doing the things that other people want me to do. It can be taking care of my body. It can be taking care of my heart. Not for the future, not thinking, okay, I have to be fit and with a six-pack abs in next 3 months, but enjoying the process today, going to the gym today, and the scene that I told about giving myself the time and the self-love of me going into the forest and enjoying in the middle of the afternoon. Because I'm not doing those things that my really heart has been wanting for a long time is the reason I'm looking for more love and approval from other people without knowing it. And if I was busy fulfilling what I really want, and it's not that I'm not doing it's not that I'm doing something that I don't want, but it's a mixture. I'm doing something that I love at the same time I'm doing something that maybe I don't enjoy much. I think if I was completely doing the thing that without the care of the world, it's not that I'm indifferent to my family, but if I'm being respecting to their opinion, but at the same time I'm doing what my heart really, really wants. If I do that every single day, I think the fear that is deep inside within me of what if this live event doesn't become the best, or what if they think this, I think those things will not matter much at all because I'm going to be absolutely unstoppable.
What if instead you completely allowed yourself to do what mattered to you the most, and you let every single time you got up on that stage, you let that be an extension of your truth? What if you let that be an expression of who you are and what you really stand for, and you came from that space instead of trying to be something that's trying to get approval from the other people? And what if you just stood up and you spoke about what mattered to you the most, what really gave you the most amount of meaning, regardless of what anybody else told you of what you should do or how you should do things, or this is not how you do things. You know what? Fuck it. This is what matters to me. And how about I just speak that message? And the people that still remain in their seats are the people that are ready to receive you, and the ones that aren't, well, there's the exit sign. How about you let your work and your career be an expression, an extension of who you truly are deep down inside? And if that was the case, and there's people out there that believe what you believe, and they'll stay. And the people that aren't, they'll leave, and that's totally okay because they're not meant to be for you. But if you try to please everybody, then you'll never, ever please yourself. You'll never be happy with who you are. So let your work and everything that you do be an extension of who you are.
Yeah.
That's it.
It's funny you say that because so far I saw this 3-day live event as something like it was more to me, it was like a mechanism to deliver the service that I promised to deliver. But now that I choose to see it more as an extension of my being, the whole game changes for me from this moment forward. So David, thank you so much for the perspective that you have allowed me to have today. And I really, really appreciate you for investing so much time and effort and love and prayer to all of us.
You're welcome, mate. And like I said I was going to do a spontaneous hot seat, so there you go. But seriously, everybody else learned so much from that. And everybody else got something different out of that.
Hey, I'm going to post, if everybody's on the group, I'm going to buy my Jeep by December. I'm going to post a photo letting everybody know that I did it, because the afternoon with the girlfriend, and it's important to me.
Brilliant. Please do. That'd be awesome.
Thank you.
Exciting.
So guys, what did you get out of that? Thank you, Vishal, for, just opening up and being open. I mean, everybody else would have got so much out of that. What did you guys get out of that? Any big light bulb moments?
Yeah. Sorry, was someone else saying anything?
No, go for it.
Okay, cool. Thank you, first of all, for sharing your wisdom with us. And Anna, I hope to see you in Sydney in person someday. Probably soon, hopefully. And what Vishal was speaking about the authority, like what I got the sense of was that he was always seeking and putting other people on a pedestal, that their views or sometimes, for example, what his dad used to say about the gym, and that all of those things mattering so much, even to this point that he's still, it's the voice is still, like, he did the whole personification so well. I feel like that's what his dad would sound like. Yeah, I think just realizing that if you're hearing somebody else's voice in your head, then really this is not the real you, and you really need to tell them to fuck off and get back there yourself. But yeah, I think at the end of the day, it's just all about love. You just gotta love yourself. That's it. And I have a question for you as well. I think you probably will help me figure this out. I created a meetup group a couple of weeks ago. It's been great success. From like the feedback I've had, I've already had about 140 people join. I'm getting private messages. People are coming to me like, James Buckley, I ran into him and he was like, yeah, I'd love to help you in any way. So, I have these ideas of having guest speakers, and I already have like 3 or 4 people who are already happy to help. I'm just not planning the first meetup. Like, why am I not doing this?
What's the worst thing that would happen if you did?
Nothing worse would happen, to be honest. It'll be really good.
Cool.
Yeah.
So you give me the logical.
Have a lot of fun.
You give me the logical hiding response. I want you to think, what's the worst that would happen if you did?
The worst. What if people don't get it? Like what I'm on about.
And if people didn't get it, how's that a problem?
Well, then I guess it will tell me that I've obviously missed the point. In saying that, I know that I haven't, because even when I was walking a shopping mall and there's this...
So I'm going to bring you back because you're going off from the question.
Okay.
So if people didn't get you, how's that a problem?
Well, there's, I guess, the fear of like, oh, maybe I won't have clients.
Fear of not having clients. And if you didn't have clients, how's that a problem? Is that really what it is?
I don't know, because it's not like I have so many clients now. It's not a problem.
So what has to happen?
But I think that's what I'm relying on.
I'm not going to get easy on you because you know this, and we've been in...
Yeah. Good old chunking. I should do it myself.
So what did you miss in between? What was the step that you missed in between fear of not having clients? What would have to happen for people to say, yeah, I don't want to work with you? What has to happen?
I think I need to shop fully. It's almost that I don't want to do so much, but still be... Yeah, I think that's it.
So
it's just pushing out their comfort zone a bit further.
So if you were to show up and you were to speak and people weren't going to get you, what would they do? Would they reject you in some way or form?
That won't matter to me, to be honest.
Okay.
Like, I don't think I give so much to rejection now, whatever. Take it or leave it.
They would at some level. They'd be like, no, I reject this message because I don't understand it.
Yeah, that's fine. So for people to reject it, it's fine as long as I know I'm congruent within myself with that. For me, it just seems to be more of the fear of shining. I think.
Fear of shining. Okay.
Yeah, because on some level, I know that I'll nail it. It's like, you know, when you're born to do something and you know you are going to do it really well. Just stepping up on that. Yeah. Almost fear of success. I don't know if I'll handle it. Like, because there's always the self-sabotage that happens, that has happened previously in my life in certain things. That, yeah, like great feedback, people's like amazing, and then I'd go screw up. Especially in like when it comes to money and career success. Yeah.
So it's the two primary things that are operating there: fear of success and the limiting decision that I'm not good enough.
I'm good enough, but I think I don't deserve it. Or who am I to think? Yeah, it's the same thing.
Okay, I don't deserve it, so I'm unworthy of success.
Yeah. Still, I hate that one. I thought I worked on it for so long. But that's the thing, though. How long do we dwell on the problem before we just accept it? You know, like I think I'm at the point just I kind of just accept that.
Do you know what success means to you?
Yeah. Not as much in detail as you do. Like I love the visual. It gives me great ideas. But yeah, I do. Yeah.
So think about this for a sec. When I say, do you know what success means to you? Beyond just the words, can you feel what that means to you? To the point where you're like, you know what? That's what I really want and it inspires me.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
And work on that, and then work on working through the limiting decisions, and you know, just work on dissolving the emotions. But I don't know if you've I mean, the best thing to do it with, like if I was working on it with you, just be like doing a proper detailed personal history, and really getting to the bottom of everything else, and that way you can see exactly where the triggers are anchored into, and then you would just go through and you just, you know, loosen up the model of the world. So the need is a coach, guys, which is why I'm just going straight into it. Just loosen up the model of the world, and you would just massive loosening. I think just the loosening more than anything else. Before timeline therapy and anything else, is literally just loosening up the model of the world and just going completely deep into all the little triggers and what attachments and things you've attached. But the biggest thing is the number one thing that trumps is literally just get comfortable being uncomfortable. Is being able to take action. So anyone that's very much in the comfort zone, like you mentioned it was, what I would suggest to you is it's not the action, it's what it means for the brain. So what I would start doing if I was you is just start doing one thing every single day that makes you uncomfortable. Whether it's when you're walking home, take a different road. When you're buying like a bottle of water, buy like a different size that you normally would. Fuck with your brain a bit. Get it used to like doing something a little bit out there. Wear a shirt that you know what. Like I literally, when I did like a live workshop, I wore like white shoes with black pants, so white socks with black shoes. And I was like, hey guys, I'm wearing black shoes. Because it made me uncomfortable. I'm like, I'm just going to do it. You know, it's just throwing yourself off.
Cool. Thank you.
It'll be fine. Just make it happen.
Yeah.
Visualize it. Like just literally, like it's like just.
I think that's it. Like I just need to see that reality more than what I'm paying attention to currently.
What you can do to do that is I literally have like these books, and what I do is I just write pages and pages of you know, like I don't know if you see this, but I literally just write pages and pages of what my life would look like. I'm like, so it is now this. I'm writing up flyers for my workshop. I'm setting up chairs. I'm putting chairs in rows of 5s and 3s. As the first people walk through the door, I greet them and I shake their hand, and they're sitting down. The first person sits in the second row and the third seat in the corner. Just get really creative, create that reality. So you're actually in there and you're making that so real. And then I literally just write stories. Like I literally write stories about how my life is going to turn out. Like I literally have like pages and pages. So what's the next 3 months going to look like? What's the next 1 year going to look like? I created. I'm taking this holiday. I'm doing this. You know, I literally create the whole thing.
Because I know, like, once of the things I've written down, oh man, I get those so quickly. So I know that about myself as well. Yeah, I think that's it. And I think I'm going to start more of the Abraham Hicks, the scripting process as well. Like you just write positive aspects of everything as much as you can. Yeah.
Possibility.
So many. Thank you.
That's right. You're welcome. So a couple people have dropped off, I know, but it's totally cool. This went like far longer than I'd intended, but that's totally fine. So Anna, you were going to say something earlier about Exponita. I muted you, by the way. Let me just unmute you. There you go.
I was going to say something.
Originally, before Vinita started talking, but it's totally cool.
I think what I was going to say is that, what was I referring to? I mean, first of all, thank you so much, because this is totally empowering, and it made me actually realize so much. I actually wrote it down somewhere. I was going to ask you for the link for MRI belief scans. I actually want to see science behind it. So if you can send a link, that would be perfect. So if you don't mind, please.
That's right. I can't remember where I got it from, by the way. That was like 2 years ago, that picture.
Oh.
But yeah, you can. I'm sure you can Google them from somewhere, actually. But yeah, I'll see if I can find something and send it to you.
Okay. If not, that I'll just have some Googling to do. But I did take a lot of notes. I didn't really have any questions. It just made me it was like a eureka moment for me when you just realize when you have to reevaluate everything, ask yourself deliberate questions about everything that really matters to you. And that's exactly what I'm going to do after the session ends. I'm just going to ask myself a question after question and challenge my brain to do things that I haven't actually challenged. Because I think my biggest obstacle is, I think, money. I would love to go and live adventure, but I don't have money to go and travel around the world. So that's an distraction as well. So I'm thinking how would you get rid of that? If you have that kind of physical almost thing that is kind of against you.
So it's the money pattern. So at the end of the day, nothing can exist. And once again, I'm going to speak in a language that relates to you. It's nothing can exist in your physical reality unless you allow it to. At some level, everything is a manifestation of what you believe inside. So how have you created? First thing I'd ask you is, how's your relationship with money?
I'm going to refer to the. Sorry, there was a person speaking right before me. Benita, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of I know that I have the talent to go after the money, but I don't feel like I deserve it. My parents kind of worked really hard for the money they've got right now, and I just feel like I really have to work hard, because otherwise I just don't feel worthy of having this money. So to me, money means proper hard work, you know. And I think that's what's kind of blocking it. I think go on. Sorry.
That's right. So let me just quickly tell me what's important to you about being in business.
About running my own business. I mean, I'm really independent, so I have to run my own business because I haven't really followed rules in my life. I used to be in the army, and the reason why I left the army was the fact that I just don't follow what I'm told, and I just can't do it. So it's the same situation in the business world. I have to run my own business. I have to be my own king in order to be happy. That's my very, very core value, and I have to do it on my own. But when I'm doing that on my own, I'm thinking but I'm not really putting as much hard work as my parents did. And it just seems like it's worth it in a way.
So I'm just going to point out to you, just real quick conflict. So when I asked you about what was important to you in the context of work, the three things were independence, freedom, and happiness. You being independent, it's you having the freedom to do things in your own way, and then for you to be happy, which is really high value. But if your association, if the meaning that you gave to money is that it has to be hard and it has to be really tough, so because that is a direct conflict with your values, which is independence. If things are hard and things are tough, then that means you're not going to be able to be independent. You're not going to have freedom, and you're not going to be happy. So because there's a conflict there, then we make up a story, right? How can I justify not working hard? Because then I'm actually going against what truly matters the most to me. So then it becomes easy for us to say, I don't know if I'm worthy, because that stops us from working hard so much that it takes away the very things that are the most important to us, which is independence, freedom, and happiness. This is an internal conflict.
Yeah.
So I would ask yourself to just rewire and reframe, what does it actually mean? Like if you're in business, what would your day-to-day operations look like? How would you, once again, that exercise that we did, get really clear on what you want it to look like. Because right now, the only thing that exists in your mind is the past projected out into the future. Like I spoke about in the training. It's the past of how things have been with your parents, of what it's like to work and earn money. And that's what you assume the future is going to be like.
Right.
Do you see that?
Not kind of, not entirely. I'm not really sure what you mean right now.
Sure. So I'll just slow down a bit. So remember the bit where it's kind of like we look at the future through the lens of the past. So past beliefs are that success is hard, that it's tough. You have to be, I have to work really hard, and even when I work really hard and long hours, whatever it is, it's still going to be tough. So that's how you look. That's what you might have thought when you're 5 years old, when you're 10 years old, when you were growing up around your parents.
Right.
But now you're still carrying the same belief system, and you're looking at the future. When you think about work and we think about earning money, you think that it's going to be hard, it's going to be tough, and it's come with all this pain and struggle and sacrifice. But internally, what you actually want is independence. You want freedom and you want happiness.
Yes, money is actually not that important to me. Like money, I need money to survive, but money is a means to me to get that independence, and that's exactly where the conflict is. I feel like I have to actually put myself out there, like work this like long hours at the job that I don't really like in order to survive, and it's not, my brain is actually like out there somewhere. It's just independence is really crucial to me, to my happiness.
You just said something that I want to point out to you, because this is really important. You just said, I have to have the money to survive. You said that unconsciously. So you're operating for survival, not for what could be, because that's what you just said. Yeah. So you notice that, which means that you're moving away from the pain. You haven't focused so much on the pleasure, because you haven't created what life could be like. So you're operating, moving away from all the pain that you've seen. So I would suggest to you is get really clear on what success actually means to you and what your life could look like. Write it out, create all those stories.
That's exactly what I'm going to do after this session. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I do see that. It's just that was my pain. Like I came to Sweden actually a couple of months ago, and I'm still living in that kind of like survival mode, and I hate it because it's just taking away myself. And what I'm going to do after this session is to actually write all the answers that I really need. So thank you for this. Thank you for doing this, because this is very extremely important to me. And I think I'm going to speak for everybody else when I say that this is of a huge value.
Thank you. I want to see you guys succeed. Like I really truly do, and it's just what I love doing. So seriously, like the best thing is to take away whatever you've taken away and actually just act on it. So you actually see the results that you are deserving of. And that is the greatest thanks, and that's the greatest gift you can give to me and anybody else, is to do something with it. And I think it's just, seriously, I just want to see you prosper. It goes for all of you guys. So, Joe, you've been a bit quiet there, mate. What's going on?
Can you hear me or what?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. I'm not sure how this thing works. How you going, man?
Yeah, good, mate. Well, I did the, mate, why don't you show us that hairy chest of yours? I can see you sitting there with a singlet. So I know you missed the training, but you popped in afterwards for some of the fun stuff. Any observations? Any key takeaways?
I think that, you know, definitely a beautiful group of people here on the call. And look, let me see if how much time you got, brother? I've been caught up because I just had an amazing conversation with my boss at work. And what I learned today is, like, never assume. Assume makes an ass out of you and me. Never assume. And absolutely. And also, Devesh, you know, we all have the answer. Look at these guys here, like Anna, Vishal, Vinita. I mean, we all have the answer. We all have the answer. It's inside of us, but we distract ourselves with so much shit that it's too much noise. The signal, we can't hear the signal because of the noise, you know? So that guy wants to buy his Jeep, and like, I went through the same struggle when I bought my BM, you know, like you know, I had Fords and I had crappy cars my whole life, and I bought a BM in January and, like, loving it, you know, loving it, man. So yeah, it's just like, I liked what you said today, Devesh, about to continually push yourself, drink different water, wear a different shirt, wear some white shoes, you know, so.
And by the way, for me and Joe have actually stood in the middle of a pub and we just like, hey, let's just swap shirts, and we actually just took our shirts off and we swapped them. We're like, yeah, cool.
That's it. Did a shirt swap, man. That was cool.
That was cool.
Did I give it back? Did I ever give it back?
I can't remember. No, I
think I did.
No, hang on. I had your, no, that was from Day with Destiny. Anyway, yes, I can't remember. I can't remember. Anyway, but
no, that was on that day. I wanted to see how far I could push Devesh, and he stepped up. You know, he stepped up.
I'm like, mate, you want to swap some pants? Let's do it. It's all good. No, that's perfect. All right, awesome. I mean, Renata, Felipe, I don't know if you guys are still there. Any takeaways? Anything you want to add? Yeah, I just call you Felipe, and it's Philippe. How do I pronounce your name, man? I'm sorry.
It's Felipe. Can you hear me?
Oh, it is Felipe. Okay, well, I can hear
you. Yeah. Awesome. I'm just cooking here now and trying to make everything at the same, multitasking. But well, I just love it, man. I just love how kind of like the way that you think and the way that you presented, like, a lot of your already, like, beliefs, and the way of talking and thinking is very similar to mine. And yeah, bro, like, the more that you stay surrounded by what you love and what you think success is, the more that you can also, like, connect these wires, right? You were talking about it, and, like, I already figure out, like, yeah, and what I'm doing here right now, talking, listening to you, and just, like, being part of this webinar is already, like, a success for me, because my definition of success also includes being surrounded by like-minded people and like really being able to listen to people's paths and struggles, but also see that they, like, get clarity in their own ways. And it was amazing, man. Like, I don't know the name of the woman, the girl that said, like, I don't know how to go to Australia because of the money and everything. And the way that you explained was fantastic. I would have said quite the same. And I was, like, thinking, like, just one thing to add to that is that we basically don't know how to make these things work. But if we really feel already, and if we think it enough, and if we really, like, already have the sensation of having it and being grateful for already having it, you don't need anything else. right? You don't really need a house. You don't need the Jeep, and you don't really need any external thing. What you really want is the feeling that brings you, right? And if you can bring that feeling to right now, you don't really need any of these things, because right now you're already in heaven, right? And in the same way that, like, before, I think it was like 3 weeks ago, I was talking to one of my mentors, and I asked him, like, I want to get into this coaching 101 thing, but I don't know really how this works. And I would like to be present in a 101 class of, like, you talking to someone and, like, helping him with his problems. Well, right now I just listened to you talking to them, and was like, okay, this is already crossed from my list, right? Like, this is already an accomplishment, and I didn't even plan this. You know, it was just something that I was thinking about having, and I thought for a while, but then I let go of it, and now it came to me. You know, it's like, it's life will figure out by itself. You know, if you put already your emphasis, your intention, and your wish, if you choose already, if you feel it, then, like, it's not more in your hands. It's not more than there's nothing more that you need to do. Like, life will unfold it for you, and this is just beautiful.
That's brilliant. Thank you for sharing that. And, you know, that's it. The beautiful thing is that, you know, if we were God, or if we are, you know, not living the third dimension, then, you know, we wouldn't have an ego and everything would just be love. But hey, the mind is here now.
Yeah.
So we can't shut it off. And the ego does serve us in one way or another. So, you know what, let's just make it count and focus on what really matters and go from there, inside out, you know?
Yeah, beautiful.
That's perfect. All right, guys. So, look, thank you so much for all your time. I know this went over, so I appreciate you staying.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. The next one's going to be money vibration and shifting internal money blueprint. So, yeah, and I think you'll enjoy that one.
Yes, I was gonna say that expect me there. I think I'm gonna take a time off work or something just to be sure that I'm there.
No, that's totally cool. Well, awesome. All right, guys. Brilliant. I'll upload this. So if you don't mind being on camera, you are now on camera. I want to stop recording.